T-Mill3 hit me up on Twitter with a question about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and Sam Hartman. He asks, what are the chances that Sam Hartman wins the Heisman? What would it take to accomplish this? And what would this mean for Notre Dame in 2023? T-Mill3, this is a great question. I'm glad you asked it. Let's unpack this a little bit. We'll start with the first part of that. What are the chances for Sam Hartman of winning the Heisman Trophy? There's a lot of odds out there in Vegas, and those mean something. I don't want us to just totally throw those away, but when games start, when we actually get to see these guys take the field, that's when we can really get a good gauge for Sam Hartman and his Heisman candidacy. But the way that I see this, Notre Dame is going to be a very visible program throughout the year, and for Sam Hartman, I mean, his chances are as good as anybody's. Can we just agree on that? His chances are as good as anybody else's, depending on his success, Notre Dame's success. There's no reason, there's no issues with him trying to get people's attention to win the Heisman Trophy. He's not going to be playing a lot on the West Coast. He's not going to be one of those guys that's in the G5 conversation that has to try and get attention of voters. Like, you play at Notre Dame, you're the quarterback, you ball out, you're going to have the attention of a lot of people to try and win the Heisman Trophy. So that's the first part of this. The other part of this is, what would it take? And that's where I really want to focus our conversation right now. What would it take for Sam Hartman to win the Heisman Trophy? We'll talk about this in a second, but Notre Dame fans, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. We talk college football every single day right here on the Hard Count. It's May. It is springtime over here in Tennessee, and we're talking college football. And you're watching a video on YouTube about college football, and we still have 90-plus days till we even get to the season. So we're both kind of junkies for this sport. Why don't you go ahead and subscribe and join the community? Also follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram at JD Pakel. So we appreciate you for that. So what would it take for Sam Hartman to win the Heisman Trophy? Our good friend T. Mill asks. Here's the most crucial ingredient to me. A big play wide receiver needs to step up for Notre Dame. We saw a version of it in the spring game now. Jaden Greathouse, if you're a Fighting Irish fan, you saw that spring game, you say, oh boy, it's a true freshman, but dude can play some ball now. It might be Jaden Greathouse, it might be someone else. The bottom line is they're going to play really complimentary football, is Notre Dame. Defense is going to bring it. I feel really good about what they have on defense coming back. Feel really good about some guys that I think the country is going to get to know here in a minute, Jordan Botelho being one of them. They're going to play good defense. I also think they're going to run the football well. Bring back a lot in that backfield. You're going to have a chance to repeat the kind of success you had last year, where you averaged almost 200 yards rushing a game. So there's that. So you play good defense, run the football well. When you run the football well and you've stopped the other team from scoring, you then have the opportunity to create explosive plays. Because the other team starts pressing offensively and they kind of get down on themselves, and you get the ball back, and then when you start running the ball and they start to try and get a little bit antsy on defense, because again, they're down now, they're not scoring. They try and create something defensively to create some momentum, maybe dial up a blitz when they shouldn't. Then you hit the deep pass. Then you get the explosive plays. That only happens if you have someone that can separate at the wide receiver position. I'm not saying they don't have it in that room. Actually, I think they do. We're just waiting on who it's going to be. So that's the first part of this. The other part of this is, you and I both know that the Heisman Trophy, it's given to the best player in college football. Yes, we get that. But there's also a component of this that's like branding. And the phrase Heisman moments gets thrown out there a lot. Like, think of different players in their Heisman moment. Did they have a Heisman moment? Like, we talk about that every single year. Sam Hartman has some big stages, 3 of them to be exact, from where I'm sitting right now looking at the schedule. And I need big games on those stages. Like, when we got eyeballs watching us when College Game Day's in town for our game, especially in November, we'll talk about that in here in a second, I need big performances, like 3 touchdown, 4 touchdown performances for everybody to see. We also have to win some games. So for the Heisman to be won in moments, the 3 Heisman moments I see available, too early. September, you got Ohio State at home, game day implications potentially, hard count implications potentially. USC, also in South Bend, October 14th. We like both of those. A lot of attention on that game. The former Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams, coming to your house. You didn't play in this game last year, obviously, because you weren't even at Notre Dame. Really good opportunity to go head-to-head with the best player in college football and state your case as to why you believe you're the best player in college football. Now, this is the one that I have circled and underlined if I'm Sam Hartman. November 4th. Late in the year, the Heisman's won in November. They play at Clemson. Could be a top 10 matchup, depending on what Clemson does, depending on how Notre Dame does in those other 2 games, and up to the point in November. That could be the game where there's a ton of national attention, college football playoff implications, and Sam Hartman, if he goes out there and has played up to par to this point in the year, that could be the game where he plays tremendously, puts up big numbers, and just makes a statement to the rest of the country, I am the best player in college football. That would be the game that I think you could have a chance to do that. Okay? So, what would it mean for Notre Dame? Well, a couple of things. I mean, the first is Notre Dame, if Sam Hartman were to win the Heisman Trophy, likely has either one loss or they're undefeated. That'd be huge. That would be huge because if Sam Hartman plays well enough to win the Heisman Trophy and wins the Heisman Trophy, we say this, best player, typically on one of the best teams. So Notre Dame continuing to win and being able to be in position to make the college football playoff probably goes hand in hand with Sam Hartman being able to win the Heisman Trophy. The other piece of this is Jared Parker in his first year as the OC at Notre Dame is probably crushing it if Sam Hartman wins the Heisman Trophy. Marcus Freeman said it when he announced him as the OC. They wanted to play a balanced style of offense and be complementary. But if Sam Hartman's putting up Heisman kind of numbers, that probably means they found something with the pass game and with some of these weapons on the outside, and that Sam Hartman has been cooking, and that he is synced up with his new OC, Jared Parker. And that would be phenomenal for Jared Parker, because think about all of the talk, and myself included, we took part of that, all the talk around Notre Dame's OC hire. Swung and missed on who we all assumed was their first choice. And then Jared Parker ends up being the guy, and it's kind of a little bit of a sheepish feel around Notre Dame circles of, okay, well, we didn't get our first choice, so we went internal, and there was just a lot of just bad feelings around that. But if Jared Parker and Notre Dame are in position to allow Sam Hartman to win the Heisman Trophy, that means they found something there. That means they're synced up, both Hartman and Parker. So that would be a very, very good thing, obviously. But even more so now, let's take a step back. Notre Dame, probably in the college football playoff conversation. Sam Hartman, probably in that case, in that whole scenario, probably in the Heisman Trophy conversation. And in this video, he wins the Heisman Trophy. What would that mean for Notre Dame? Not just in 2023, but beyond. For Marcus Freeman, that would give him some ammunition he could bottle up and take on the recruiting trail. Because it was his first year last year in South Bend. First year being a head coach ever in South Bend, I should say. He was obviously there before, but his first year being the head coach of the Fighting Irish. He's not messing around on the recruiting trail. We've seen that. And a lot of it previously was trying to sell people on his vision for Notre Dame, trying to sell kids what Notre Dame will be in the future. But you get your quarterback to win a Heisman Trophy, and I think that goes hand in hand with the college football playoff candidacy. Then you can say, hey, come be a part of what we're doing right now. Just had a quarterback win the Heisman. You want to come play for us? X 5-star player, class of whatever you want to come play here. That's what you can do here at Notre Dame. And I'm not just saying that. You've seen it now in practice. You saw us do that with Sam Hartman. So in short, I think just the trend of Notre Dame football, the arrow would be pointing up in a very real way, in a very visible way. I think this is definitely a possibility. So a lot would have to happen, obviously. Notre Dame has to win those games I talked about. Ohio State at home, USC at home, at Clemson late in the year. All big games, all big stages for Sam Hartman. And I think for him to put up the numbers that we want to see him put up to win the Heisman, got to have some receivers step up. Jaden Greathouse. I don't know if he's the guy, but I was pleased with what I saw in that spring football game. Would mean a lot for Notre Dame going forward. Not just for 2023, but for the future and what Marcus Freeman can then bottle up and take on the trail. Lock it in right here. We talk college football every single day. We are live tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. Come hang out with us. We'll have a good time. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.